We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into something pretty fascinating today. And honestly, a bit unexpected.
Definitely got people talking.
Yeah, this recent meeting between U.S. Senator J.D. Vance and Pope Francis.
Yeah.
In Vatican City, no less.
Right. You've got, a U.S. Senator very much known for his populist conservative views. And then the Pope, whose whole focus globally seems to be on social justice engagement.
Pretty much everyone, it feels like sometimes. So yeah, it makes you ask, what's the story here?
It really does. It's not exactly a common pairing, is it, seeing those two particular figures in the same room?
Exactly.
And for us, I think that's the core question. What can we actually learn by, looking closely at this meeting, this intersection of American conservatism and the head of the Catholic Church?
Right. Our goal isn't just to, repeat the headlines. We want to really dig into the context, think about the possible dynamics, what might have been going on behind the scenes, and explore what this meeting could, maybe, tell us about that whole relationship between faith and politics, which always seems to be shifting.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
And we're doing this, for you listening, hoping to give you that deeper layer, that extra bit of understanding about these events that kind of shape the conversations happening out there.
So to really get a grip on this, I think we need to look at the individuals first and the worlds they operate in. Let's maybe start with Senator Vance.
Okay, yeah. He's not exactly new to the public eye, is he?
No, not at all. His book, Hillbilly Elegy, that really put him on the map, gave a certain perspective on a specific part of American society.
Right. A very talked about perspective.
Definitely. And from there, he made that jump into politics, became quite a significant voice, hasn't he? Especially within that populist, more conservative wing of the Republican Party.
You can definitely see a clear ideological shift in his journey.
Precisely. And his positions on, social and cultural stuff, family values, government's role, immigration, they really connect with a particular base of voters.
What's also interesting, I think, is his public persona. It's kind of a mix, right? He connects with working class voters, but he also engages in these broader, maybe more intellectual political debates.
Yeah, it's a specific blend. Okay, so that's Vance. Prominent American conservative, distinct background. Now let's switch gears to Pope Francis.
Right, at the 266th Pope. And his time as Pope, well, it's consistently highlighted certain themes. Social justice is a big one.
Huge. And his calls for environmental responsibility, you hear that constantly, plus the outreach to marginalized groups all over the world. It's a very consistent message.
Absolutely. And his teachings, they often challenge the status quo, don't they? Prevailing economic systems, political structures.
Yeah.
He's always urging this sense of solidarity, concern for the common good.
His views on things like immigration, poverty, the environment, they often contrast pretty sharply with certain political ideologies out there.
They do. And beyond just teaching, he's actively met with leaders from all across the political spectrum.
Yeah, even ones you'd think have vastly different views. Exactly. Which has really positioned him as this major global voice, right? His influence goes way beyond just the Catholic Church.
Which brings us right back to this meeting in the Vatican. The fact that these two individuals got together, it just immediately sparks questions because on the surface, their backgrounds, their stated priorities, they seem so different.
Makes you wonder about the why, doesn't it? The motivations, what they might have actually discussed, the potential fallout.
Exactly. And the details are still kind of hazy. Was it like a formal audience, a private chat, just a quick handshake? We don't really know the exact circumstances.
Right. And then there's the question of who set it up. The name Jonathan Morris has popped up as someone who might have, facilitated it.
That's an interesting angle. Someone acting as a go-between could definitely influence the context, maybe even what got talked about.
For sure. And you mentioned timing earlier. That could be significant, too. If it happened around Good Friday or Easter, well, that adds another layer, doesn't it, within the whole Christian calendar.
So we have these two figures, seemingly from different worlds, meeting at possibly a meaningful time. Let's zoom out a bit now and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
We're talking about religion and politics intersecting. And in the U.S., as you know, that's always a well, a complex and often debated space.
Oh, absolutely. It's a constant negotiation, that dynamic between religious belief and political life.
And when you think about the Catholic Church, specifically in the U.S., I mean, it's huge. Diverse membership, significant voice in public debates on all sorts of issues.
Undeniably, it plays a major role.
And Pope Francis, his influence isn't just limited to the U.S. Catholic community, is it? He's seen as this global moral authority by many across different cultures, different faiths.
That's a key point. So this meeting, it doesn't just happen in isolation. There's a whole global context.
Not at all. We can't forget how it gets reported and perceived, right?
Crucial. How the media frames it, the stories that get told, the reactions on social media, all that shapes how people understand what it means and its potential impact down the line.
Okay, I think we've set the stage pretty well. We know the players, their usual field to play, the broader scene. Now let's really try to dig into the why. What might have motivated Senator Vance to, seek this meeting out?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? For Vance, there could be several things going on. One strong possibility, just demonstrating engagement with religious leaders, showing that connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. For any politician, connecting with faith communities can be really important, can it? Shows shared values, or at least respect for those institutions.
Exactly. Another angle could be trying to broaden his appeal, maybe specifically to Catholic voters or just more religious conservatives generally. Meeting the Pope, well, that sends a certain signal.
Building bridges, maybe? Finding common ground, even if it's limited?
Possibly. Or maybe there was a chance for dialogue on specific issues they do share concern about. Perhaps things like the importance of family or certain aspects of community well-being, even if their overall politics differ.
That's plausible. You can sometimes find overlap on specific social questions.
True. And let's be honest, we shouldn't dismiss the more pragmatic side. A photo walk with the Pope. That's a powerful image. It can definitely boost a public figure's profile.
Oh, absolutely. That visual association carries a lot of weight. Very strategic potential there. Okay, now flip it. What about Pope Francis? Why meet with Senator Vance?
Well, Pope Francis has this track record, right? He consistently engages with a whole range of political leaders. It suggests a strategy, maybe, of fostering dialogue across different viewpoints.
So, using his platform to try and influence the conversation on his key issues, social justice, inequality, global stuff.
That seems very likely, trying to encourage leaders to think about those things. It could also just be a gesture of goodwill, reaching out even across big political divides, maybe hoping for a more constructive exchange, finding any areas for collaboration.
Yeah. Or perhaps just seeking to understand, really understand different political viewpoints firsthand.
Absolutely. Talking directly with someone holding different views could offer insights, inform his perspective on global challenges.
Okay, so while we don't know exactly what they talked about, we can make some educated guesses, right? Based on their known focuses.
For sure. Issues like social justice, economic inequality, those seem almost certain to have come up, given the Pope's emphasis.
Definitely. And what about immigration, the refugee crisis? Those are huge global issues, both have likely thought about, even if from different angles.
Very likely. Family values, the role of religion in society, those also feel like potential topics, maybe areas where they see things differently, maybe some overlap.
And you mentioned the environment earlier. Given Pope Francis's focus there, climate change could easily have been part of the conversation.
Could well have been. And of course, just the role of the Catholic Church itself. In the U.S., globally, that's always relevant when the Pope meets a political leader.
And circling back to Jonathan Morris.
Yeah.
If he was involved in setting it up.
Right. His own connections, his perspectives. They could have subtly shaped the dynamic, couldn't they? Maybe influenced which topics got more attention. It adds another layer of complexity.
It's really fascinating trying to unpack all these potential factors. And it's already clear this meeting isn't being seen the same way by everyone.
No, not at all. Totally expected. With something this high profile and seemingly unusual, Senator Vance's supporters, they might see it very positively. Like, look, he's engaging. He cares about faith, student values.
Right. But his critics, they might be more skeptical.
Much more. Questioning the motives, seeing it as, political maneuvering rather than a genuine meeting of minds.
In Catholics themselves, I imagine reactions are all over the map there too.
Oh, definitely. Depending on their own politics, how they view Vance, how they view the Pope's approach. Some might applaud the dialogue, others might have serious reservations.
And the media's role in framing all this.
Hugely important, as we said, highlighting certain aspects, crafting the narrative. that really influences public perception.
This whole episode really just highlights that ongoing conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About faith and politics intersecting.
Mm-hmm. It's ancient, really.
Yeah.
How do religious beliefs and political action interact?
Yeah. We talk about separation of church and state, but the reality is religious values always influence political talk, influence voters, politicians. This meeting is just another example of that complex stance.
It is. And for Senator Vance specifically, this meeting could be quite strategic in how he shapes his public image, couldn't it?
Being seen with the Pope, it sends messages, maybe different messages, to different groups of voters.
Precisely. How it's framed, the stories told around it, that could definitely impact how people see him, his political standing. It's all part of that complicated link between belief, action, and public perception.
And thinking about the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
Pope Francis meeting with someone like Vance, it does raise interesting questions about the Church's role in politics, doesn't it?
It does. How does an institution focused on spiritual guidance and social justice navigate these kinds of political interactions? It's a constant balancing act.
Yeah, tricky. You want to uphold principles, advocate for people, but getting involved politically always brings scrutiny, debate.
Right. There's always that tension between staying neutral and speaking out on important ethical or social issues.
And thinking globally again, Pope Francis is standing on the world stage. Does meeting a specific U.S. senator impact his influence?
Probably not dramatically, but it could. As a global moral authority, who he meets with is noticed. It can subtly affect his standing among other world leaders, international groups. It shows the delicate nature of wielding that kind of soft power.
And finally, just the broader cultural moment. This meeting isn't happening in a vacuum.
Not at all. It reflects this larger pattern of faith and politics bumping up against each other, shaped by changing social values, cultural trends. It's always reshaping that relationship between religious and political figures.
Absolutely. It's a dynamic scene. The boundaries are always shifting.
Right.
This meeting is like a little snapshot of that whole process.
Well put.
So, okay, looking forward, let's speculate a bit more directly. What are the potential political outcomes for Senator Vance? Could this help him, hurt him?
Like most things in politics, probably a bit of both, right? It could shore up support among religious conservatives, maybe some Catholic voters who like seeing that engagement. But it could also alienate people who strongly disagree with his politics or who just don't like seeing religion and politics mixed so overtly. It's a gamble, potentially.
And what about for the Catholic Church? Could this meeting change the relationship between the church and, say, political conservatives in the U.S.? More dialogue? Or maybe more division among Catholics?
It's so complex. You could see potential for maybe more understanding on certain specific issues where they might find common ground. But given how diverse politically Catholics are, these meetings can also cause tension. Some might feel it gives undue weight or legitimacy to certain political views they oppose.
Right, and globally. Pope Francis is standing with other leaders, international bodies. Any ripple effects there?
Probably minimal in the grand scheme, but every interaction is part of the tapestry. Some might see it as positive engagement, others might interpret it through their own political filters. His overall moral authority likely stays pretty consistent, but perceptions of specific actions can vary.
And lastly, the impact on just public conversation. Could this meeting actually shift how we talk about religion's role in politics?
It definitely adds fuel to that fire. It gives a very concrete, recent example. It'll likely prompt more discussion about, why these meetings happen, what they mean for church-state relations, the whole role of faith in public life.
Then thinking really long-term, what could be the consequences of these kinds of meetings for that bigger relationship between faith and politics in the U.S., globally?
Well, these encounters, even if they seem small, they do contribute to shaping that relationship over time. They really underline how influential religious institutions and leaders still are in politics.
Yeah.
And they highlight that ongoing need for us to think carefully about how these two powerful forces interact as society keeps changing.
So, yeah, this meeting between J.D. Vance and Pope Francis, it's clearly not just a simple news item. It's layered, complex.
Definitely multifaceted. As we've kind of talked through, the motivations, the dynamics, the ripple effects, they're all open to different interpretations. And that reflects the different values and viewpoints we have in society, right?
Absolutely. And maybe the takeaway is about how we navigate these intersections, engaging thoughtfully, respectfully, trying to understand different points of view, even when we strongly disagree. That feels crucial.
Couldn't agree more.
Ultimately, I think this encounter really serves as a potent reminder, doesn't it? Religious leaders, religious institutions, they still hold significant sway in political conversations. It just underscores that ongoing debate about religion's proper place in the public square. And that conversation isn't going away anytime soon.
No, it certainly isn't.
So as you, our listener, think about everything we've discussed, maybe mull this over. Knowing what you know now about Vance, about Pope Francis, the context, what does this particular meeting suggest to you about that evolving dance between political power and spiritual authority today? What big questions does it leave you wrestling with?